I welcome you all here tonight to the annual general meeting. The recording of this annual general meeting will be available to the public on the Council's website for a minimum period of 6 months. In accordance with the meeting's procedure regulations, I will now ask the staff to confirm that the recording has commenced. Thank you. Tonight we have Councillor Armstrong, Councillor Gibson, Councillor O'Neill, Councillor Mrozak, Councillor Jessup and Councillor Robinson. Would you like to introduce your officers?
Sure. Tonight we have Matthew Grimsey, General Counsel. We have Paddy Johnson, our outgoing Director of Community and Place.
People in conflict.
We have Lyle Ground, Planning. Frank in Infrastructure. Yep.
Really shouldn't have had that time, shouldn't we?
Okay, so we have the electors and we have the guests, so thank you. We have two apologies tonight, and that is Deputy Mayor Thorpe and Councillor Andrew Burgess. No leave of absent and no absent. Confirmation of minutes of previous annual general meeting held on the 11th of December 2025, 5.001/25. Do I have a councillor to, yes, Councillor Armstrong and a seconder? Councillor Jessup. Thank you. Okay, so now we have the presentation of the annual report for 24-25. I'm going to leave it up to the video that I'm sure a couple of you might have seen at the community event, but we'll play it now for those that haven't. So
thank you. And yeah, look, the reason we've adopted the video, it's part of our sort of ongoing digital innovation. We know that various members of the community can make different forums, so the point of the video is for consistency. It's been publicly available for a few weeks now. We have it on social media, we have it on our website, and we've repeated it at our pre-AGM session and now here tonight, and we think it does a good job of summarising what the Mayor and CEO would normally talk about to present the year that's been, with some highlights and the budget overview.
Welcome to the Council Annual Report for 2024 to 25. In this video, we'll explain how the budget is set, review our financial position from last year, and highlight key plans for the current financial year. We'll cover budget considerations, financial performance, revenue and spending, and important investments made by the Council. The annual budget is an estimate of how much money the Council will receive and spend in a financial year. Revenue is the total income we expect, which funds our activities. Expenditure is the money we plan to spend to deliver services and achieve our goals. The budget is shaped by input from community surveys, staff, and councillors. It guides how we fund all activities and projects, from salaries to new roads. A draft budget is reviewed in March and approved in June, alongside a 10-year long-term financial plan. When deciding the budget, we consider several factors. We look at risks, such as changes to grants and costs. We listen to what services the community values most through surveys and consultations. We set priorities for extra investments and plan for major projects, knowing these require ongoing costs like maintenance and renewal. Let's look at some key numbers from this year. These figures show the scale of our work and the resources involved in serving our community. Our council area serves nearly 20,000 people, with just over 14,000 electors spread across 5,497 square kilometers. There are over 11,400 rateable properties, mostly residential. This negatively affects our income compared to councils with more industrial or commercial properties. The leading industries in our valley are aquaculture and agriculture. Our community benefits from a range of council-managed facilities, including swimming pools, early learning centers, and marine facilities. Child care centers provided over 36,000 sessions and nearly 279,000 hours of care. We maintained more than 714 kilometers of roads and completed over 130% of our planned capital works. The Council delivers many services, such as waste management, natural resources care, compliance, customer service, medical services, and planning. In 1 year, we responded to 266 dog control inquiries, provided 1,200 native trees to community projects, assessed 407 planning applications, and managed nearly 100,000 customer service contacts. Each year, we report on financial benchmarks to show our sustainability and to compare with other councils. These measures include the underlying surplus or deficit, net financial assets, and several ratios that check if we can meet our commitments and maintain our assets. These are reviewed and audited every year. For 2025, the council reported an underlying deficit of $468,000, which is $194,000 worse than the projected deficit. This is different from the surplus achieved in 2024. Even with this deficit, most of our financial ratios are at or above benchmark levels, showing a sound financial position overall. This year, council met or exceeded all financial benchmarks except for the underlying surplus. These measures show how well we manage our finances, replace assets, and maintain services. The details are shown in the table on this slide. Some major changes affected our revenue this year. New planning scheme application types led to lower fee income. Waste volumes at transfer stations were lower than expected, and childcare centers earned less than budgeted. There was a $750,000 drop in grant income due to changes in the payment structure. However, higher cash balances and better interest rates led to increased interest income. We also received extra income from several sources. Favorable income came from the Rural Health Beds contract, more revenue from the Chiefston Town Hall, and public space contributions. Altogether, these added over $1 million in positive income variance. It is worth reiterating that medical centers continue to make losses. Spending on materials and services was higher by $3.7 million, mainly due to accounting changes and increased contractor costs. When multi-year projects finished, new assets started being depreciated, which added to expenses. New assets coming online also led to higher depreciation charges. The $3.3 million favorable variance in other expenses is due to a reclassification of spending, not increased costs. An adjustment of $1.5 million removed capital grants from our main results, keeping operating and capital funding clearly separated. The asset revaluation reserve decreased by $9.5 million. This is due to updated valuation methods and impairment considerations for roads and car parks. The changes reflect the current condition and market value of these assets. This year shows a deficit. In our long-term plan projects similar conditions for the next few years. This is an opportunity for careful financial management and strategic planning under our new developed, place-based livability strategy. Through ongoing monitoring and responsible decision-making, Council aims to balance community services, asset renewal, and prudent financial management. Our commitment is to meet community needs while ensuring a sustainable financial future.
Thank you. By next year, we'll have a better accent on it. But we think that does a pretty reasonable job of giving a 5-minute summary that, like I said, is then consistently available to the whole community, whether they're coming to sessions like this or available online.
Okay. 7, discussion of community submissions received. There was no submissions received during the advertised period. Questions from the public on annual report. Attendees are reminded that questions should be relating to the Council's 24-25 annual report. And when asking a question, as normal, speakers are requested to address their questions to the Mayor. Questions provided prior to the AGM. Neil? Questions provided at the AGM. So for general business, motions have been submitted by the 1st of December 2025, and I also refer you to the attachment to the motions that provides background information provided to the presenter. I refer everyone to the explanation of the process of the AGM document available on chairs this evening. In accordance with the Local Government Act of 1993, only electors of the Yuan Valley can move, second or vote on a motion at this annual general meeting. On attending the meeting, electors have been provided with a red voting card. These are to be raised when voting is undertaken. I will ask the person presenting the motion to come forward and move their motion. Upon being seconded, the mover may then speak to the motion. If the presenter of the motion is not present at the meeting, any other elector may move the motion to allow for discussion. So first off, I had one from Jason Andrew Smith. do I read that out? And then, or what?
Look, Jason's not in attendance. Was there anyone here that was sent along by Jason to present on his behalf? Or anyone that's had a look at the motion that may wish to?
Well, I'll read it. And then,
Otherwise, read it
Yep.
and we can see if that would like to be moved.
Yep. 9.001/25, presented by Jason Andrew Smith, that the Yawn Valley Council engage in traditional burning practices for roadside council managed bushland and focus on caring for country with Indigenous-led knowledge holders. Do I have someone to move that motion?
I am an elector, and it is in our convention that council staff and councillors don't vote in these things, but for the purpose of having a discussion and bringing it forward, and ultimately being able to respond to this, because I think it's worthy. That's why I'm
So that was moved
moving
by Lockie Krantz and seconded by Matthew Grimsey. Would you like to read your comments? Or?
Sure. Yep. So Jason Smith provided some great background to this, and is someone that we have worked with in the past as council. So it's consistent with work we've already been doing, where we'd like to continue to explore that, I suppose, and it's really it aligns well with the council's livability strategy. This is an individual who's identifying an issue, managing roadside vegetation and others is a costly exercise for council, and we're very open to alternative ways to do that. So I really commend this motion and would be happy to explore it further and bring forward to the community the relevant risks, costs, etc. For consideration next year.
Thank you. So can I go straight to the vote, or do I have to open that up, Matthew?
Open it up for anyone.
Let's open up for discussion.
Yeah. Anyone else have any thoughts on that? No? So I'll put it to the vote. Yep.
I'll
Yes.
just make a comment, a very quick comment just about the smoke hazard and the smoke for people who have breathing and lung respiratory issues and so on. It might increase the smoke, but I know the payoff is less fire danger. There's always this balance to be made.
And good point that we would consider as part of the risk assessment in the pros and cons of applying such practice. Good.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we also need to look at the different forest types in bushland reserves, because they don't all benefit from burning. Some of them are less flammable if left for their own devices, so it's just with a caveat for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. No others, so I'll go to the vote.
Mhm.
All those in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. You're right, girls. Against? Right, so we're right, so that passed.
10 for, none against.
Thank you. Was you against, Christine? No. Oh, sorry. Okay. I also now have one from Sarah Annesley, is it?
Annesley.
Annesley, on behalf of the Yawn Valley Alphabet Mafia.
I don't believe Sarah's here. Same question. Is there anyone that's familiar with the background to this that has been asked to speak to it or would like to speak to it as a mover?
Same basis, I'll move it,
Yep.
so we can discuss it. I'm happy to do that.
Yep. I'm happy to second that.
Okay. Yes,
I need to
please.
discuss it now.
Mhm.
Look, youth health is obviously a major issue, and we know that rates of youth harm and self-harm are much higher in rural areas, so this is a real issue for us. I note the Chief Executive Officer's comment, so that we are already working quite extensively with PCYC, and they have some Rotary funded after hours or after school services that are quite well engaged with. But look, the more we can put pressure on the state and federal government to provide health services in the Huon Valley, and hopefully with our youth precinct that we're going to get funded and hopefully get built sometime, we'll have access to allied health rooms and things like that for those sort of people to come down here. So I think there is going to be the youth precinct focus, which may pick up some of what this motion is designed.
Do I have any other? Yes?
Well, with the recent legislation about social media, the ban on social media for young people, there's going to be a bit of a vacuum for young people finding themselves suddenly with time on their hands that they didn't have and maybe nothing to do. So it will be important to find alternative activities for them. How that's organised within the framework and the budget of council, I don't know. Certainly an important thing.
I'd like to speak to it generally as well, just to note the comments that I've already put, that we are supporting a community-led youth hub through the PCYC, and we certainly work with Alphabet Mafia as well. The advice from officers on this one is that they look forward to digging into the detail of this motion to understand exactly what's being asked for and how we can continue to support and sustainably support all of these youth type services.
Yeah. No other comments? Okay, well, I'll put that to the vote then. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all right. Yeah, it's okay.
10 for, none against.
Thank you. Daniel Peter Davies?
Also not here tonight.
No. The Huon Valley Council actively support a community gardening initiative within the municipality led by an incorporated association working with the council on community projects. Would you like to speak to that?
I'm happy to move that.
It?
Yep.
Okay. And a seconder is Matthew Grimsey. Yep. Matthew or Lucas. Yep. Matthew had his red card up.
We don't get cards.
You just have to be quicker. Would you like to speak to that one?
Yeah, sure. So Daniel and his partner have, in developing this motion, have been working with council. It's early days, but it's an initiative that we're really quite excited to support because we really think it does strongly align with our livability strategy. And these are individuals who are identifying an opportunity and putting up their hand and seeking how council can facilitate and support them, but they want to play a big role in delivering it. We think it's a fantastic opportunity to provide all sorts of benefits that reach beyond just the act of community gardening, but health and wellbeing, bringing people from different age demographics and social backgrounds together. There's some fantastic models of community gardens in Tasmania. There's a thriving community garden down in Geeveston, and this is about providing consistent support and really signalling that how council can do this to facilitate something that's a bit bigger, that I think strongly aligns with the lifestyle of the Huon Valley, particularly where there's more and more people who don't have access to large gardens themselves, and also those who don't want to garden on their own, isolated in a big backyard or on a big block.
Thank you. Got anybody else that would like to speak to that? No? Yes, you may.
Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly to extend what CEO Cran said, I think initiatives like this one where we can produce food locally, next to the positive social effects that CEO Krantz described, there will be other positive flow-on effects. Like more food being grown on the doorstep means less transport. Less transport means less emissions through transport. And this is only one aspect. You think of packaging, all the plastic that our produce is wrapped in, and that just after single use goes into the bin and needs to be then carted somewhere else, producing more costs and emissions. I think this is just a small step that can take can have a big impact, and great to see that before the initiatives like that in the Huon Valley happening.
Yeah. I have no others. I'll put that one to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your card.
10 for, none against.
Thank you. I'll now ask Ms. Smith if she'd like to move her motion.
I'll just do it from here.
It's up to
Wherever
you.
you're comfortable,
Yep,
yeah, that's fine.
that's it.
Given the recent decision of the federal government to remove the EPBC exemption from native forestry in 18 months' time, B, the affection in which many forest areas are held by Huon Valley residents, and C, the great interest shown by tourists and visitors in our giant trees and tall forests, it is requested that Council call for an immediate moratorium on old growth logging in the municipality, such that no more of these biodiverse and irreplaceable forests are lost.
Do we need to read your comments, or do we just go?
No, you can.
Anyone else to speak?
Yes, you need a second.
Yep, need a seconder? Yes, thank you, Christine Campbell. Does
Anyone to speak?
anyone to speak to that motion?
Can I say a little bit?
Yep. Go for it.
I noticed that the Chief Executive's comments are primarily aimed at the decision by the federal government to potentially remove EPBC exemption from forestry, and what that might, and the details of that haven't been completely worked out. But there are far more things at stake here, I think. Part of Council's remit is to look after the well-being of residents, and it's undeniable that many of these large old forested areas are held in enormous affection by residents. One's only got to look at the visitor book at the Franklin Forest, for instance, or to visit the Grove of Giants, where there are always people often getting lost trying to walk through that area and see what's going on. Tourism, for good or bad, is an important revenue stream for local businesses, and we have some of the biggest trees here in Australia, including the tallest in the country and the widest in Tasmania. At present, there are few signed options to visit any of these trees. Older trees, mixed species and mixed age forests are vital for biodiversity, and older trees are the only ones with hollows for endangered animals and birds such as the swift parrot. And lastly, but perhaps just as important as all the others, is that it's now proven by a whole number of recent papers, including research undertaken in the Huon Valley following the Rivo Road fires, that logged forests are more flammable, and that our wet, temperate, tall forests are far more resilient and less flammable if left to their own devices.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak? Okay, well, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your card.
Ten for, none against.
Thank you. Then I'll ask you if you'd like to present your second 9.005/25. Thank you.
It's a request that Council undertake an analysis of population centres versus facilities within the municipality to establish where they are lacking or where there is an oversupply. The analysis to use publicly available data and ground observations to establish A, safe walking, cycling, public transport and private car travel times to various facilities including public loos, community hall, public open space stroke public park, playground, dog park, childcare centre, bus stop and healthcare centre stroke GP surgery. B, the local availability of active transport options such as footpaths and cycle paths, and C, the demographic makeup of each population centre to better determine the need for different types of amenity. Results to be reported to a council meeting, made available to the general public and used to help shape budget and policy decisions.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Yes, thank you. Jerry? Yep. Do you want to speak in?
Yeah, I mean, everybody will know why I'm putting this motion forward, because as a resident of Crabtree and a committee member for the Mountain River Hall, And, you know, having lived in that area now for 21 years, it's a growing area. The zoning and council DAs that have been approved has allowed that whole area of Mountain River, Crabtree and Grove to extend to over 1,500 residents. And yet I would argue that we are very poorly served with respect to facilities, with really the only public facility being the Mountain River Hall, which is inconveniently placed and in many ways not fit for purpose for a sort of modern community.
Got your heaters now, though, I believe. Have you got your heaters?
Heaters is excellent, but then we raised all the money for it.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that.
So, I mean, we don't even have a footpath to get to the, you know, a footpath or a cycle path or anything to get to the nearest car park. And you know, 1,500 people is more than Franklin, it's more than Southport, it's more than Dover, it's more than Glenhuon, Judbury and Lonavale, and it's not far removed from Geveston. And yet we have nothing in the way of, you know, public open space or anything. And I think it's high time that this analysis was undertaken to look at where, you know, what's lacking.
Thank you very much. Do I have anyone else to speak for that? No, that's the case. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand.
10 for, none against.
Thank you. Now, 9.006/25. The motion is presented by Philip Michael Russell.
That's me.
That's you.
I want to get one of those little marshmallow things on the way out too. Very kind of you.
Make sure you will.
My motion is this meeting requests that council look to expand on the current Huon Valley cat management plan. This would be by way of establishing a council-run community committee to include, amongst others, vets and cat rescue services, with the aim of recommending how both feral and wild cats could be controlled in the Huon Valley and how cat owners can be better encouraged to de-sex, microchip and contain their cats.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Yes, we do. Thank you. Would you like to say any more on that?
Yes, please. So the council has a cat management plan, but it doesn't, I mean, it's words, but it's not actions. And we've been living here almost 8 years to the day, and I've become obsessed with bird life around where we live. We live on Knights Road. I have a view of Skinner's Creek of about 500 or 600 metres, and I get very stressed at this time of the year when I listen out at night and I hear the turbo chooks with their alarm calls and the masked lapwings, the plovers with their alarm calls. And you know that you go out in the morning and there are going to be less chicks, you know. And you see the cats walking along the creek looking for their food. And I'm happy if the raptors come down and get a baby bird, well, so be it. That's nature. But no cat chooses to live out in the wild. They want to be next to your fire or on your lap. So they don't. And also, I think if we have a better plan, a lot of the language on the Facebook community pages is about let's just shoot them all and let's drown them, and it's terrible. You know, that's not a solution. That's cruel and inhumane to the cats. So I think there's enough knowledge, you know, with vets and the cat rescue services that I know some councils, subsidise desexing and that sort of thing and microchipping. That's about all. I can take questions if anyone else has got a comment.
Yeah, no problems. Does anyone else like to speak on this? Yes?
Well, I seconded the motion because I'm very aware of the damage that feral cats do. I've a wildlife conservation property, and we also have a lot of turbo chooks that live on the land, and it's not just them, it's all the small animals are predated by the feral cats, and some of them are quite scary.
Yeah.
After there have been a few generations in the bush, they seem to get bigger and stronger and fiercer. And I don't know what council can do, but it is an issue, and I hope council can do something in that area.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm extremely supportive of some measures, particularly with respect to cat containment. And I don't know if it might even be possible. I think some municipalities have enacted bylaws or something of that nature to require people to have their pets licensed and contained. I'm speaking as someone who spent two days in hospital last year having been attacked by a feral cat, so they are pretty vicious, creatures, and if they do that amount of damage to a human, goodness knows what they're doing to our wildlife. So.
Thank you. And I know Andy Waterhouse would be very impressed with your motion too. So, yeah, thanks for that. So if I've got no one else that'd like to speak, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your card.
10 for, none against.
9.007/25, presented by Dr. Smith. Would you like to put your motion?
I've amended my motion since it was submitted on the 1st of December, and we had a consultation on that day. So my motion now is that in preparing the budget for the 26-27 financial year, under the category Materials and Services with a budget of more than $8 million, the Council consider the allocation of up to $100,000 to determine future transport needs of the Human Valley population through analysis of existing data, and I believe there's a great deal of existing data, and a data analytics study be commissioned to determine the potential for an integrated transport strategy for the Valley, so that if or when funding becomes available, the Council is in a position to be successful in applying for funding to implement a pilot project.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Yep. I've got a couple, but I'll go with Christine. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, well, I'm actually moving this motion as a personal motion, but it's something that the Circular Economy Huon has been very involved in since 2018. Local transport is, in my opinion, a critically important issue for the Huon Valley, and although it's not formally a local government responsibility, it is a service that the Council could assist in developing as part of its primary purpose under the Local Government Act 1993 to provide for the health, safety and welfare of the community. Under Materials and Services, the 25-26 budget provides $8,057,144, but development of local transport is not considered in terms of a service. So, over the past 20 years or more, Council has done surveys on health and other community priorities, and transport has always been a top priority. Strategic Goal 1 is an empowered, healthy and connected community, which is directed towards supporting the well-being of the community by providing affordable, welcoming services and facilities and spaces. This goal is commended, but lack of transport prevents people without a car from getting access to the great services provided by the Council. There is some provision of transport for particular categories of residents, but a local public transport system has not been developed. As I said, Circular Economy Huon has been working on development of local transport since 2018 because of the serious implications of the lack of local transport in this area. These include the inability of people without a car to access services, to leave when danger threatens, for example, in bushfire times, and the potential that fuel becomes unavailable if petrol supplies are disrupted because Australia has only 3 weeks of reserves and we are at the bottom of the list. In this rapidly changing world, we in the southernmost municipality in Australia must look to the future needs of our community, and I hope that the Council will seriously consider local transport as a service that needs to be developed and will take the first steps to act.
Do I have anyone else to speak on that motion? Yes?
Our reliance on private cars is a major driver of inequality in the municipality. The costs of running a private car run to about have been estimated at about £8,000 a year when you take into depreciation, etc. And when surveys have been done by Jobs Tasmania, they've often found that hardly any of those seeking a job that they're trying to help have got the full legal combo of rego, licence and insurance. So there's no end of people driving around without insurance, many driving without rego, because it's just so expensive for people on low incomes or students or people looking for a job. And transport is just so important for job opportunities, for getting health appointments when you need them, and also for getting a decent education.
Children can't get the bus to get to school. That's correct. Do I have any others? Well, I'll go to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your card or hand.
10 for, none against.
Thank you. Do I have, no, that's it? All right. Yes?
Can I just, this is part of the agenda, but can I just thank the council for this opportunity tonight, and Lockie and his team and the other people Lisa and people like that who've put on these community things in the last couple of months. It's been fantastic to learn and, a bit more about what goes on. So I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. That's much
Very
appreciated.
much appreciate it, and likewise we appreciate many of the familiar faces that turn up to all of these things. But it has been good that we've been steadily seeing more and more unfamiliar faces coming, and that's what we hope to grow. So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, can I move a couple of motions that I didn't get in at the allotted time?
I better ask my guardian down the back. Is that?
The rules for the annual general meeting don't provide for motions on the night. We certainly advertised it very extensively.
They did last year.
I recall they did last year.
They did last year and the year before and the year before that.
Yeah.
And we're trying to provide people with opportunity for greater context, and the reason for the consultations, etc., we've been doing is to improve that engagement and try to improve. Sorry, Jerry, over the lectern. We've got the
Lectern between us.
to give people better context of what they're actually voting for, because every vote is ultimately a request for council to, even if we don't go ahead and do the whole work, the development of the reports, etc., all takes up quite significant resources in just answering motions on the night. So that's why we've made that change, to try to improve the quality and the ability for the public to understand what they're voting for. There is obviously opportunity always to come in and work with us and influence the direction we take. But yeah, we very much want the pre-warned motions for the reasons I've outlined.
Neither of these motions would be a shock to anybody on council. The first one is about improving circularity. And last year I asked a question about circularity across the municipality, and no action was taken on that, and there were reasons given for that. But the motion that I would put, if I was allowed to put it, would be about improving circularity within the council, recognising that we're using virgin material across the world and that we're using more materials from the planet, and the amount of circularity is decreasing. And recently we saw an example of that within Tasmania, that in southern Tasmania there may not be enough sand for construction materials. So the motion was going to be along the line of council looking at the way that it goes about acquisitions and purchasing, and looking at how it can use materials that are not virgin materials to set an example to the community. So that was the first one.
I can take that as a comment of something that we can continue to look at through procurement and
I
materials.
can leave my piece of paper.
You can do. That you can actually do if you'd like.
Thank you.
Mayor, Jerry could ask that question at a council meeting, and then that would get formally considered.
Yeah. Well, as I've sort of outlined it, I probably don't need to, and I can leave the paper. The second thing was about halls. The second motion was to do with halls, and the observation being that there's a change of the management and operational structure in council halls. And it seemed to me that it would be a very beneficial thing to look at each of the halls and spaces that are hired out, such as the hub, and looking at them in terms of what should be the maintenance for each of those halls and what should be the improvements over a period of time, shall we say over the next 3 years. So it's set within a framework of what council intends doing with the halls and the public spaces.
And that's consistent with what we're already doing, and the change in direction that we've already taken is allowing us to get better data to do exactly that, which just, that's a fundamental of our general asset management and planning.
Good.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Well, that then brings the AGM to a close. I thank you for attending, and thank the people that took the time to put their motions. And I believe with the fire there might have even been some people that might have come that possibly couldn't or didn't feel they would like to, didn't feel safe. So I'm just saying that because I reckon it might have had a bearing.
Yep.
So thank you very much for attending the AGM for 2025. Thank you all.
If anyone's, I think, have we finished the recording?